Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Yasar Ahmad. So in this video we will continue the paper 2 from the Ict IGCSE course. We are doing a May-June 2022 paper, variant 21. If you check out the previous video, I've completed the document production part, and in this part we set up the evidence document and took some screenshots. We're now going to be doing data manipulation, which is the database part of this paper. Now typically this is probably the most challenging part of this paper, but hopefully after this video it should make a little bit more sense. Okay, so task 3, database. You are now going to prepare some reports. Dates are to be imported in the format of day, month, year. So let me just highlight this. Make sure all currency values display the same currency symbol and are set to 0 decimal places. So it's really important we come back to this point as well. Okay, so before we can start, what we need to do is go to our source folder and set up a new database file. So we can right click, select Microsoft Access Database, and I'm going to call it J2022 underscore variant 21. So you can give your database any name you want. So let's open up this database file, and what you'll see is a blank database. There's no information, no records, no fields. So the next step is, now what we need to do is import this file. So J2221 booking.csv, and we need to make sure we use these field names here and these data types given. So something to keep an eye on is the telephone. Sometimes this field may be set as an integer, but we need to change it to text. The reason we do this is telephone will never be used as part of like a calculation, so it doesn't need to be set as integer. Okay, so let's go ahead and import the first file. So you go to external data. On this version of Access, you go to new data source. For some versions you can click here for text file. So if I click on new data source in this version, from file, text file, and then when this window comes up, we need to go into our folder and locate the first source file. Let me double check. It's going to be bookings. So this one. Next, tick this option. The first row contains fields, so title, first name, last name, and so on. These are field names. And then here, each row refers to a customer. So Mr. Finley Cosser, I think that's how you say it, Miss Caitlin Anderson. So each row would be a record. Now at this point, guys, what we do is click on Advanced, check the data is in the right order, so day, month, and year. Yep, that's fine for me, don't need to change anything. And now let's check the data types. Okay, so the first 3 should be text, short text, that's fine. Customer ID should be a number, which is fine. And then let's check for the next 3 fields. They should also be text. So street address, area, postcode, address. Now we've come to the telephone field, and you can see it's not been set as text right now. So what we need to do is change that to short text. And let me check the last 3 fields, so the date and time, number and text. Number, integer and text, that's fine. Go to next, next. Just before we select the primary key, when we do import, or after we've finished importing the CSV file, we need to change the date, so it's shown in this format here, showing the month in 3 letters. Okay, so what do we set as a primary key? It's going to be the customer ID. So the customer ID will be, let me say that again. The customer ID should be unique for each record. So we can't use the names for the primary key in case the names are repeated. So we're going to select, choose my own primary key, and select customer ID. So the primary key is a unique field for each record, for each customer. Next and finish. Let's click on the table, go to design view, and change the date to show a medium date. Go to view, yes, and that's the first one done. Save, close this down. Okay, now we're going to be importing a second table, yachts, ending in yachts.csv. So again, the same steps: external data, new data source from file, text file, browse, select the yachts CSV file, press OK, next. Again, the first row contains field names, so yacht name, yacht make, reference, port, and so on. And then here you have your records. Each row is a record. So now again, let's go to advanced, check the date is in the right order, day, month and year. Let's check the field names. So the first 5 should be set to text. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 set to text. No need to change anything. And then the next 5 should be set to number. This may be set, the length may be set to double because it contains decimal places, so we're going to keep that. So let's check that. So integer, double for length, which is fine. Integer, 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 that's fine. And the last one, the day rate, is going to be set to currency, but there's no decimal places, so we can keep that as it is. So actually we've not changed anything, but it's worth double checking everything. So the reason this is double is because this contains a decimal number. The day rate doesn't, so we can just leave it as it is. Next, next. Okay, let's choose the primary key. So we're going to use the yacht reference field as a primary key. So we can choose my own primary key and yacht reference. So this is going to be the primary key. Next, finish. Open up the table. So the first thing I want to do is the day rate. Okay, I need to change that to 0 decimal places and include the currency symbol. So if I go to design view, go to the field day rate, change the format to currency, change the decimal places to 0. Let's see how that looks right now. Yeah, that's fine, there's no decimal places. Okay, great. And then the length needs to be displayed to 2 decimal places. So you can see the second one is not set to 2 decimal places, so what we need to do is go to length, change that to 2, go to view. Still, it's not showing 2 decimal places, so what we can do is in the format we can choose standard. So decimal place is set to 2, format is set to standard. Let's go to view, and you can now see 2 decimal places. Okay, let's check to see if anything else needs to be changed. Okay, so now we're going to be taking some evidence. So evidence of the table structures showing the primary keys, field names and data types. 6 marks here, guys, so make sure you do this part right. So evidence 4 is going to be screenshots of both tables. Okay, so we can start with the first table, bookings, go to design view, and this is what we need to screenshot. We can see the primary key has been set. I'm going to click on here to show that this has been set to medium date. Let me just get my snipping tool open. So here's the first table. Go to my evidence document and then Control V to paste. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on the second table, go to design view, and let's take a snip of this one as well. And in these screenshots we're showing a primary key, we're showing the data types, and some of the formatting you may have applied. Where am I going? Here's the evidence. And maybe what we can do is we can click on day rate, and we can just take a snip of that as well to show the formatting as well that's been applied. Copy, that's fine. Okay, save the changes to your evidence document. And now it's time to make the relationships. So to make the relationships between the two tables, we need to close the tables, and then we go to database tools and relationships. Add both tables, not the same table. Let me close that one. And expand the table so you can see all the fields that we're going to be using. And we're going to create a one-to-many relationship between the yacht reference in the yachts table. So this field here, this primary key, and a yacht ID in the bookings table. Let's change the colour to that for something else. So yachts ID, so it's going to be this field here linked to this field here. It's going to be a one-to-many relationship, and I'll show you that in a second. So let's click on create, and let's double click on this line here, because what we want to do now is to take a screenshot to show the type of relationship between the two fields. So let me just go to new, click on copy. This is evidence 5. Save the changes. So there's the relationship. So it's a one-to-many, and once you've made your relationship, if you press OK, close, save the changes. If you go to the yachts, so each row here is a different yacht, okay, and there must be many bookings made from this table, and the bookings are linked to each yacht. So if I click on the plus here, so one yacht has many bookings, and we've used, if I go to here, the yacht reference, in this table here, and this has been linked to, if I go to booking, to the yacht ID field, so the data should match up. So SY082 links to, probably, if we go down, this yacht here, the Seabiscuit. Okay, the great thing about making relationships is we're not having to duplicate the same data many times. We can just have the data here once for the yachts, and it can be linked to the data in this table here. So if we just had one table, can you imagine the extra fields we would have here to contain the yacht details, and then this information would be duplicated. So it's a more efficient way of doing things. Alright, let's save the changes. And we've done that part. Done the evidence, got the evidence as well. Let me check. Yeah, it's got the evidence as well. Okay, question 15. Enter the following details as the new records in the bookings table. Sometimes at this point they may ask you to make a form, but in this case we're just going to add this data straight into the database, into bookings. So what we'll do is we're going to come all the way to the bottom, and we're going to add the record here. So obviously guys, I can copy and paste, but when you are doing this, please make sure there's no mistakes being made in entering the data. You won't have the paper in an electronic format like myself. It should be printed in front of you during the exams. Okay, I'm just going to copy this information across. and the postcode. Telephone, and we are almost done with 3 more fields to go. The next number is 12, so let me type it in, and it's a yacht ID. Actually, it's the same one as that we identified before. It should be linked to Sea Biscuits. Okay, save the table and then close down the table. Okay, yeah, so it should be no mistakes since we've copied and pasted, and job done. Let me change this back to yellow. Okay, question 16, and this is where things get a little bit more challenging. And before we start this question, so we are going to be making a report. What I'm going to do is bring your attention to my website and to this resource, which you can have a look at. So if you go to my website, the links are below. You click on this tab here. Eventually you'll see links to all of the videos for the past papers. But if you click on this PDF here, it should bring you to this resource. If you look at slide 23, you will see we have annotated the question in yellow. We've identified tasks which are done in a query, which comes before the report, and then in green some tasks which are obviously done in the report. So we can't start from the first bullet point and work in this order, because this question is not in any sort of order. So what we can do first is identify the query tasks. Okay, so and you can also see we've annotated this question as well, the calculated field and the search criteria. So we're going to be doing this now. The first thing we should be doing with these types of questions is identifying which fields will be selected. So we need to find the bullet point. Here we have 3 different examples. So the first thing we will do is we'll go to create and select query wizard, and then we'll select the fields that we need to import into this query. So let's go back to the paper, and this is going to be the first bullet we start off with. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on comment. I just want to open up the text box. So selecting the fields is always the first thing that we do when we create a query. Okay, just go back to the highlighter pen. Charter cost is something we can't make until we've created this new field in a query, so we will be coming back to this in a moment. Okay, the second thing that we do after we've selected all of the fields is we look for the title that's going to be at the top of the report, and I like to give the query the same name as the title of which will appear at the top of the page of the report. Okay, so let's have a quick look to see if we can find a heading. Yep, so it looks like it's going to be this bullet point here, and let me just change that. So select the fields is always going to be the first thing that we do. Okay, the title is going to be the second thing that we do. So let me just click back on the text box. Okay, and make sure you include capital letters when shown and you're not making spelling mistakes. Okay, now the next thing that we can do in a query, if you look back to the PDF, is once we've selected the fields and we've saved it with the title, we can enter some search criteria to filter the records down. So you can see some examples here. We can search by date or by the length in this example. Sometimes you can search by a field and not show it, so you can untick the option here. So you can see the criteria is going to go beneath each field. So this means not Lumia 525. The brand is Nokia or Apple, and this one means containing 5 megapixels. So here's the different types of search criteria that we can use. So you put stars around a word if you want to find anything that contains a particular word. It could be in the start, in the middle, or at the end of a text string. You can use between and to search between dates, or values. You can use or if you want to find multiple values, not if you want to exclude a value, and then you can also use the less than and more than with the equal if you want to find something more than or equal to. And finally, if you want to find something beginning with a particular value, you can write the value in star, or if you want to find something that ends with a particular value, you can put star and then whatever you want to end with. So let's have a look at the criteria that we're going to be searching for. So the yacht name includes the text C. Okay, so in this example what we can do is we can use this method. So we can put star at the start and end of C, and what that does is going to find anything that contains C in that particular field. So let me just write that down. It's really useful to annotate your paper before you start the question. So this will find anything that includes C. And days is 10 or more. So what we'll do for that is more than or equal to 10 for days. Okay, so that's the search criteria. And we'll come to the new fields in a moment. Let's just do the first 3 bullet points. Always start off with query or by selecting fields first, and then edit or entering a title. Then this and this you can do in any order. The search criteria, the new field, you can do in any order in a query. I'm just going to put Q for query, and this task is also query. I'm going to start off with what we've highlighted first. So let's go to create query wizard, press OK, and we can select fields from both tables. So what fields do we need to use? So show only the fields title, first name, last name, title, first name, last name, telephone, departure date, depart port and yacht name. So it must be in the second table, and yacht name, length, days, must be in the second table, so length, and maybe days might be the first table. Yeah, days, day rate, must be in this table here. Okay, and the last field we can't add until we created it, so we'll do that in a moment. Next, when you get to this part here, guys, include the title. So let me just click on the mouse. I can obviously copy and paste again. You guys will have to type this in, finish. And what we have is all of the fields that we selected, and have a look to see how many records you start off with. So 980. Obviously we can't go to the report until we've filtered some of this data down. So the first thing that we're going to be searching for is yacht name includes the text C. So yacht name is going to be this field here. Okay, and if I go to home, design view, get this. If I was just to type in here C, and many people might do that, nothing's appearing because we want to find anything that contains C. So you type in asterisk or star, C, and then star, or asterisk, whatever you want to call it, run, and you can see it could be C here in the name, C biscuit, the one we saw before, spirit of the sea, so that's fine. Okay, and obviously you can see Chelsea, a C in Chelsea as well, so I think that's fine. Okay, days is going to be 10 or more. So we click underneath days and greater than and equal to 10. And we're now down to 41 records. Okay, so what we've done is we selected the fields, we've entered the title, and we've now completed the search criteria. So I'm just going to highlight this part as complete. Okay, now the next thing we're going to be doing in the query is to create a new field. So let me take you back to this PDF. So just to recap, in a query, the first thing that we should be looking to do is select the fields and then save the query with the same title that will appear at the top of your report. Then you can enter your search criteria, and then the next final step is to maybe sometimes create a new field. So you can see we've already taken these steps. We clicked on Create a Query Wizard, selected the fields, saved, put a title in, put the name of the query as well. We've entered our search criteria, we're down to 41 records. We're now going to be doing this here. So this is the new calculated field, and a calculated field goes here at the end of the query. Okay, so what you need to include is the name of the field, the new field, followed by colon, and if we are using an existing field, it needs to be placed into square brackets. So the example that we have here is the new stock level will be the name of the new field, and it's going to add 5 to the current stock. Okay, we have some examples here. So total births will be the new field that we create, which is calculated at runtime, and this field will calculate the total number of births by adding sleeps plus crew. Now you'll notice sleeps and crew are both italic, which basically tells you it's a field. Okay, and you can look at these other examples as well. So you can see course cost and duration are both italic, so we put them into square brackets. Okay, so that's for course cost divided by duration. In the final example, the new field is called delivered price. We've got colon at the end, and then this field will calculate the cost price. So you can see this is italic, which tells you it's probably going to be a field, and you can check if it is a field or not. In a moment I'll show you. So if it's a field, you put the field into square brackets, and what we need to do to the cost price is add or plus a standard delivery charge of 200. Obviously 200 is not a field, so it just goes in like that, plus 200. So let's go and look at the example. Okay, so let me click on the text box, and the name of the new field is called charter underscore cost, and then we need to include a colon. This field will calculate the value of the days. So this field will calculate the value of the days multiplied by the day rate. So you'll notice days and day rate are italic, and it's basically going to be these two fields multiplied together. Okay, so what we need to do is write, first of all, click back here, days, that's the first field, close the bracket, and multiplied by day rate. So this is the second field, open up the square brackets again, day underscore rate. Make sure you make no spelling mistakes. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this into my query, design view, you come to the very end, paste, and let's click on run. And there's the new field, charter cost. Okay, however, the problem is, let me just make this a bit smaller so we can see all of it. It's not displayed as a currency, so let me display this as a currency. So you can click back in here, property sheet, format, and then currency, this one here. Let's go to run, it should have no decimal places, so let's get rid of that. I'm just going to close this down again, click off and click back on it, property sheet. Why is it not letting me? I'm going to just click on run again and then go back to design view, property sheet. Okay, it's not letting me change it to 0 decimal places, but maybe we can do it later in the report. So I'm not a bit surprised. Why is it not letting me? Have I left something out? I don't know. Let's get rid of that space there. Maybe I'm missing something, I don't know. So we'll change that later in the report. Okay. So now we've done the query. Let's go back to the PDF. And we've formatted it as currency, which we haven't done it to no decimal places yet. I'll do it later now in the report. So that's the query part done. Okay. Now, typically in the report, if we go back to the PDF, we can do the sort of the data, so ascending or descending. Okay, we can set the page orientation, so landscape or portrait. We can include labels or things in your headers or footers, or page header or page footer, things like your name or labels for any calculations. And we can also make sure the data is fitting onto a page, and we can also put fields back into the right order if the order has been messed up. And finally, we can go to the function tool and do a calculation or a count on a particular record. So if you do want to come back and have a look at this PDF, guys, you can do, and there's videos which go through this PDF. So part 2 is focusing on queries and reports. Right, so let's go ahead and make the report now. So close the table, click on create, not report, you need to click on report wizard, select all of the fields, next, and let's now identify the sort. So sort the data into ascending order of yacht name. And the report task, guys, I'm going to put into green, so a different color. So sort the data into ascending order of yacht name. Did we have yacht name? Yeah, so let me just see where it is. It's a bit strange, can't see it now. Let me try that again. Report wizard. No, not based on the table. That's a mistake I made. So, guys, make sure you select the query. Okay, and then go forward, and then next. So ascending order of yacht name. There we go. And then descending order of departure date. Okay. Descending. Next. The page is landscape. Next. The title's still there, so that's fine. Finish. When you do finish, you might notice some data is not shown in full. The order of the field is now changed because we've done the sort. So we need to put the fields back in the right order. Okay. The data isn't grouped because what that means is there's a separate row for each record. So we could have grouped by Chelsea Girl, so had Chelsea Girl appear once, and then all of the information here. But this is not grouped, so that's fine. So what we're going to do first of all is we want to make the labels all fit. So let's go to layout view. And the first field should be title, first name, last name. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make some space. So if I press Control, we can select the field name and then a data. And I'm just going to move things across. And then we'll start putting fields into the right order. So normally when you do the sort, the fields that you sorted by appear first, so we need to put them back in order. So let's move title as the first field, first name, make sure you don't crop off anything, and check to see if all the names are showing in full. Last name. Again, double check you're not cutting off any names. Let's check that one there. Yeah. So after last name, it should be telephone and then departure date. So I'm just going to move these ones across. So I'm selecting them and I'm just using the right mouse key, right keyboard key, just to move them across. So after last name, it was telephone and departure date. Okay, so we got that. And then depart port, yacht name. So again, we can just move this across, just using the right key on the keyboard. And after depart date, is depart port, and then the yacht name. And hopefully the rest of the fields should be in the right order. So just go down and double check nothing's been cut off. That's fine. The yacht name. And then it should be length, days, day rate. Yeah. And remember, I just need to change that to currency, no decimal. Well, I did change it to currency, but the new field, I couldn't take off the decimal places, so just move this across slightly. Okay, we've got a bit more space here, so there's no point in trying to squeeze everything on. You can just take your time to move this across. Here we go. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go to home. Or let's go to report, layout, design, property sheet, and decimal places. I'm going to select 0. And let's just see if that's changed. Yep, so we've got no more decimal places for that. Okay, so what we should do now at this point is print preview. Zoom out a little bit. Are all the fields in the right order? Is all of the data shown? Yeah, it's 1 page wide but then 2 pages tall, which is fine. Okay, so fits on a single page wide and prints on 2 pages, that's fine. Okay, if you've done something like this, let me show you. Design view, let's say you've gone across 2 pages and this field's gone across, and if you go to print preview, you can see it's not fitting on 1 page wide. So if that's the case, then obviously just try to move the fields across as much as you can, and then drag this in as well. So let me check to see if that's, yeah, that's fine, fitting 1 page wide, 2 pages tall. Okay, so what we now need to do is to calculate the total number of bookings and place them at the end of the report, formatted as an integer. So each row is a booking. So what we can do is, I'm going to just click on close and go back to layout view and design. I'm going to just select the yacht name and then go to count records, because each row should be a booking and the number we should have at the bottom is 41. That's what we had from the query. Okay, so once you've done that, and is it an integer? Yes, it is. We need to have a label that says total bookings to the left of this value, so we can go to design view. So there's the formula for the count. sometimes you may need to print screen that. To add a label, you go to report design, then here to the left, and make sure you don't make spelling mistakes. Use capital letters, because it's only meant to be capital T and a lowercase b. Don't add anything else like a colon or anything else. Okay, done. And now what we need to do, display your name, center number, candidate number in the footer so it appears in the same position on every page. Make sure no other data is displayed in the footer. So we can get rid of the page numbers. So we got the report header and the report footer. So if you put something on the report header, it would only appear on the first page. If you had something on the report footer, it would only appear on the last page. Something on the page header or page footer appears on every page. So what we want in a footer, let me just get rid of that, add a label, is your name, center number, candidate number. So let me type in my name. For center number, I'll use 5678 and candidate number 1234. So if something is in a page header or page footer, it should appear on every page. So you can see my name's there and my name's there as well, so that's fine. And we have now completed the query and report question. Okay, so go ahead and print this report. If you spot any mistakes, obviously look at the currency. Are they both set to 0 decimal places? Look at the formatting for the date. Okay, and yeah, I think that looks good. So we can send that to the printer. Save the changes, close down the report. If you do spot any mistakes after you've printed, then obviously go ahead and print again. Right, so evidence 6, take a screenshot showing a database formula used to calculate the total number of bookings and place this into your evidence document. So let's go back into this design view and just take a little snip. Make this bigger if you like. So it's okay to make your screenshots bigger, so it's easier for the examiner to see and mark. We don't want to do squash like something like this. You don't want to do anything like this, so it makes it more difficult for the examiner to give you marks. We undo. Okay, so we've done that question now. The second part of the database question now is to make a label. So we follow the same principles when we're making a label. The label is a type of report, but before we can make the report, we need to make the query with the fields and then enter the search criteria. So let me close down this now. We're going to go to Create Query Wizard. We need to select fields from the tables, not the query from the previous task. So using fields from both tables produce labels. Okay. Before we can make the labels, we need to make the query, and these are the fields that we need to show in the label. So what do we need? So yacht name, title, first name, last name. So you can go to yacht name, and then bookings, title, first name, last name, postcode, and departure port and depart country. Date and days. What is the date? Yeah, departure date, is it? Yeah, departure date and days. Next. The name you can give this task is just labels, and then finish. Okay, so again, starting off with 980 records. What we need to do is select the records where days is 28. So this one here, we're just literally going to type in 28 for the days. So days is equal to 28. So design view, underneath the tick, type in 28, see if that's worked, and we're down to 26 records and all 28. And the depart country does not include Croatia. So we don't want Croatia. Okay, so we're going to type in two ways of doing this. You can type a not like this, or you can type it with words, letters. So not Croatia. And we're down to 8 records, which is normally the normal value for labels. Done. I'm going to do the sort now actually in a query, because for labels it's slightly different. So if I go to design view, ascending order of last name. So if I go to last name, I'm going to select ascending. Okay, so in this case we're going to do it now because the label wizard is slightly different to the report wizard. So now we've done that, we can go ahead and make the labels based off this report. So save the changes, we can close this down. Label, click on here. We want 2 across, so if you look at the question, so arranged in 2 columns and 4 rows with 8 labels in a portrait orientation. Okay, so and then you got an example size, but as long as you got 2 columns and 4 rows, then that's fine. So next. No, do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to have this open. Whilst it's open, I'm going to go to labels. I should have done that before as well, actually, with the other question. Anyway, so this is open now. So based on this query, I want to make labels. So 2 across. Next, and then you can see the same fields are appearing as the query. So now what we need to do is display the fields in the position shown in the example below. Okay, so yacht name, we're not having to show the field names, we just need to show the data. Then title, have a space, first name, have a space, last name. And then the next row we're going to have postcode just by itself. Next line, depart port, depart country. Depart day and days. And what we need to have, so let me just get rid of this box here, I don't know why it's there. It's not going, is it? So we've set the labels to be in 2 columns, so we can format it to be in 4 rows later. You'll see in a moment I will be doing something. So let me change that to greens. We're now doing this in a label wizard. We've done this as well now, so let me just highlight that. Display the fields in the position shown. Yep, we just did that. Okay, have your name, center number, candidate number on the left at the bottom of each label. So we can just put your name here. So your name, center number 5, 6, 7, 8, and candidate number 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and later we need to modify the format of the yacht name so that is center aligned and displayed in a bold, large font size. So next, we could have also actually done the sort here. So let me just do it here. Let me just send last name here. Just make sure it is sorted. It doesn't matter by the names for now. And then here we have the labels. Okay, so the first thing that we need to do now is we go to design view. So this is design view. We need to make the title center aligned, bold, a larger font, so we can increase the size font, and I'm just going to move these down slightly. And let's go to, if you go to report view, guys, you lose your columns, but if you go to print preview, you should see you got the column still, and I'm checking to see we've got 8 labels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yes, we do. If your 8 labels were not fitting, then what you could do is just adjust this to ensure all of your labels fit. Okay, so we've got our 8 labels. I just want to check one last thing. Okay, we should have sorted by last name, so Friedman, so it goes to F, G, G, and Murphy, so M. Yeah, so you can see it has been sorted by the last name, so it's going up from A to Z. Okay guys, I think we've come to the end of the database section. So once you finish your labels off and you're happy, you need to print the labels off. So obviously check your labels in print preview first, and you should check to see if all the fields are displayed. So you should have your title, first name, last name, postcode, and then what was after postcode, departure port and depart country. So yeah, we've got the, yeah, that's fine, and then the date and the days, and then your name at the bottom of each label. Okay guys, we've come to the end of the database section. Please join me in the next video where we complete the mail merge part of this exam paper. Hopefully things are making more sense. Remember guys, you can come back to my website and you can have a look at this PDF here which goes through databases, and you can click through these videos here which go through the PDF with examples. Please drop your comments below. Good luck in your exams if you have exams coming up, and please show your support to the channel. Please subscribe as well. Okay, thank you, have a good day, bye bye.